Welcome back everyone. In our last video we covered the basics of ZvZ. Today we're doing a deep dive into the DPS role, one of the most crucial and exciting roles in any party. We will break down everything you need to know from builds and positioning and advanced tips. So let's get started. What is a DPS? A DPS refers to a player responsible for dealing the bulk of damage in a ZvZ fight. Your job is to bring down the enemy players as quickly and efficiently as possible. This role requires a complete understanding of a ZvZ composition, a fight, the flow of the fight, and also a very good understanding on positioning, timing, and target prioritization. Oh my god, I cannot pronounce that word. Prioritization. The best way to understand the role of the DPS is if we break it down in action. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys a couple of our training sessions. We're gonna break down the claps and how the DPS behaved. In this way, we can comprehend and understand how can you make it so the DPS works properly, what are the steps that need to be taken for the DPS to be effective, what does the DPS need to do to be effective, and what are things that are done wrong and are common so you avoid doing them, right? So right now a clap is about to happen and there is an entire build up for the clap to be able to be efficient and for the DPS to be able to deliver all of its damage, right? So let's start with that. Let's break that down. The very first thing that we're gonna notice by doing this little exercise is that the DPS does not work alone. The DPS actually works with the entire team, and is the entire team work to be able to set up for the DPS. You see, if you have a good D-tank, a good support, and a good clapper, they all, if they do their job properly, set up the claps for the caller, and then the caller does the clap, which in this case would be the what's the name? The golem here, right? So the golem is the clapper, right? He's about to clap these people right here that got stunned thanks to the D-tank that stunned them with the stalker helmet, and then the DPS has to deliver the damage. But before the DPS is able to deliver the damage, your supports have to deliver the debuff. That's correct. Within the DPS, there is certain other roles that can be seen as support or DPS. It really comes down to your own color and guild, how they want to see it, right? So you have the debuffers, like the carving sword. You have the spirit hunter, that is also a debuff, right? You have the damnation staff, that is also a debuff, right? So right now I'm gonna go ahead and play this clap here shortly, and you go ahead and analyze what happened first before the main damage dealers deliver the damage. So in this case, the damage dealers are the reef claves right here. There is one, there is another one, the perma as well, and then right here on the back you have the other reef clave, right? So these guys are the main damage that when they hit the hardest, right? But to be able to hit the hardest, everybody else need to do their job. So let's go ahead and watch. Did you saw? Let's go back at it and look at it very slowly. Okay, no. Okay, so here comes the clap. The clap is coming very slowly. The clap is happening, and immediately you can notice one of my members is already launching its abilities. That would be Arethia right here. Arethia is using the Spirit Hunter. So I want you to take a look at the Spirit Hunter. Right there. He launches the Spirit Hunter, and immediately you can see these shields, purple shields. This means the enemy is shred. It means that the Spirit Hunter is effectively applying the debuff on the enemy. Okay? And then right next to Arethia, you can see this guy right here. This is the Realm Breaker. The Realm Breaker has also a debuff that decreases the enemy's health. Both are being applied. As soon after that is done, you need to hold the enemy down because they have now the debuffs. They have both debuff, the Realm Breaker and the Spirit Hunter, And now the permafrost is about to hold them in place. Now that they're held in place, the Rift Glaives are delivering the damage, which arrives completely stronger than it would have been if none of the previous rolls had executed the roll properly. So if you deliver the damage only with the Rift Glaives, the damage would have been less. Thanks to the roll of the Realm Breaker and the Spirit Hunter, both of the entire group was able to pretty much be completely eliminated. That's how the DPS works. DPS is a whole combination of steps to be able to effectively destroy the enemy. But why is this the case? Why is it that you have to do all this work to be able to eliminate the targets? Well, that's because in Albion Online, you have different abilities, like for example, the Guard Rune. The Guard Rune is right there, right behind the Golem, and there is other defensive abilities in the game that are tremendously powerful. And in fact, all defensive abilities in Albion Online are overpowered. Therefore, you need to work in unison alongside your entire team to be able to remove, purge, or stun, silence, or any possible way to avoid the enemy into using such abilities. Let me give you an example. So for example, in this instance, right here, we're about to do a clap to the northeast, right? So we're counting down the clap, and we're gonna go ahead for it. You can see. We're going for it. We get the clap, and you can notice that the enemy preemptively had some defenses up. One is the Judicator. You cannot see it now, but right as the clap is happening, they put Guard Runes on the floor as well, and they start spamming heals into the defenses. Look at the damage. Yeah, we do a tremendous amount of damage, but it's not enough. Not a single one of them died. That rune, I don't know, you can barely see it, right? That rune on the floor is a Guard Rune, right? So if you use your defensives properly, it's like I said earlier, it's very hard to be able to kill the enemy, right? So a team that knows how to use defensives is a tough team to deal with, right? So that's why when you're playing as a DPS, it's crucial that your role is done properly, because you have about half a second of time limit to be able to deliver your damage alongside the debuff, right? The debuff has to arrive first always, and right behind it the DPS has to be able to deliver it in that split second. Let me go ahead and give you a couple more examples before we move on to the next topic, which is the different types of DPS, the types of fighting strategies, and so on and so on. So let's continue for another little example. This example right here, I find it to be really good because it shows how important different weapons are, especially the debuff weapons. Right now, we're gonna go ahead and play it, and you're gonna take a look that the enemy actually has different defenses up. Nevertheless, they still die, and I will explain the reasons why. Let's go ahead and watch it. Did you notice why? Let's go ahead and watch it again. And this time, I'm going to be breaking down exactly what happened. The enemy engages on us, and they got all of them get hit by a D-Tank. D-Tank is wrecked. You can find him here. The enemy engages and wrecked it. This guy right here goes for it. It stops the enemy DPS from attacking us, which is really good. Good job. And then silences them, allowing me to come in and counterclap. The moment I'm about to counterclap, the enemy uses the root bound, giving shields to everybody, right? But as that is happening, my other player, Obi, right here, has a weapon called the Life Curse. He's gonna apply the Life Curse right on this area, right here, and he's gonna remove and purge all the enemy defenses. At the same time, Arethia, who is over here, is about to throw his Spirit Hunter on that way. And at the same time as the Spirit Hunter lands on the enemy, Kizumi and Mess land their DPS damage, right? I want you to notice the positioning on the DPS with everything else, right? This is why it's so important that the DPS overall has a clear understanding of a battle, like how battles are fought, and how to position yourself accordingly, because a DPS has to be in a position on which the enemy cannot reach them, but is close enough to be able to position themselves for a counter clap or just a clap overall, right? So I'm gonna give you an example about positioning here in a bit, but let's go ahead and watch that, right? So the enemy claps, fails, the tank stops them, silence them, the life curse delivers the purge, right? We're about to watch that in slow-mo, and then what's the name? Sorry, give me a moment. The life curse, it starts applying. You can see the life curse already happening. That bar, that purple bar, he's about to apply it, and you're gonna see the shields disappear, right? So the life curse finally starts, and the moment it begins, you can see it's begin. Every single one of them, they still have the effect, right? You can still see that like cool little effect, the green effect that is supposed to have a shield, but they clearly don't, right? They don't have the shield because of the life curse. Now at the same time, the Spirit Hunter is being thrown, and the what's the name? The Reef Glaives are about to hit, right? So you can see the Spirit Hunter coming, boom. The Spirit Hunter arrives first, applying the debuff. That's the Spirit Hunter applies the debuff, the shred of the armor, and immediately after, that Reef Glaive is about to hit harder than it would have hit had the Spirit Hunter not arrived first. So boom, immediately you can see the life went from 100 to 0. So that damage goes through, and immediately the second Reef Glaive hits as well. Boom, and finish off the ones that survive. Obviously, there is more damage in between. You can see the longbows, etc., etc. And then also you missed over here on the top right, the Realm Breaker right here also hit the enemy, giving the debuff as well, right? So again, DPS is super important, that has coordination alongside with their counterparts, which are the debuffs, right? The debuff roles, which are the Realm Breaker, Spirit Hunter, Carving Sword, and so on, has to be there on the front, making sure that the damage is delivered properly, right? I want to show this clip, even though it's on very small scale. It doesn't matter. Everything translates to big scale, medium scale, and everything translates, right? On this case, we're doing a very small fight, right, over a chest against another team. We are about to clap. The clap is tremendously good, right? But we don't get to kill them all in that first clap for one reason and one reason only, and I will tell you exactly what it is. I want you to watch, and you tell me why weren't we able to kill them all in this first clap, right? So our clapper goes for it, boom, perfect clap. And we managed to kill one, but why weren't we able to kill everybody else, right? Because the clap was perfect, but we couldn't because our positioning was horrendous. I could have blinked. I could have used my blink right here to put myself over here. I could have jumped over here. I could have jumped anywhere else than staying here. Why am I saying that, right? Because the moment the clap happens, the enemy has a AD tank right here. Sadly for him, he did a terrible job. He should have interrupted us earlier, but he interrupts us anyway. Both of us, you're gonna see. I clap with my E, and I'm about to spam my Qs. He uses the silence, and he actually silences everyone around us right here. Everyone right here gets silenced. That interrupts the longbow. That interrupts my Qs. Had the longbow not been interrupted, this guy could have died. Sorry. This guy could have died. I could have killed him as well. Like, our damage would have been so much better. So why am I bringing this up? Because every time you engage as a DPS, right, it's very important that you engage in a way that, unless you have all of the defenses ready with Night Helms and stuff like that, in a way where nobody can interrupt you or anything like that, you have to be able to engage in a C shape, right? Like, that's like one of the very important rules. The C shape I'm talking about is here. If us had been in a shape like this one, like this one, right? Where we are engaging from here, 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 right? No matter where, let's say there is a D-tank here and he jumps, he's gonna only be able to catch this area. Now, all of the area to the top, all of these guys here are gonna be able to still deliver the damage, right? If a D-tank jumps from here and jumps in the middle, he catches this, but the guys here and here continue to deliver the damage, right? Now, let's say that, which is the common thing to see, all of us, like we're right now, had this tank actually jumped here, root us, and silence us from the start, we would have been useless, right? If you come in as a clump, as a little clump, or everybody coming from the same direction, you're very easy to be interrupted. You're very easy to be stopped by any of the enemy's defenses. That being a great arcane, that being a D-tank, that being anything, right? So it's very important to keep in mind your positioning is super, super important. Let me show you a dire situation on which, thanks to our positioning, we are able to overcome the situation and survive, and clap the enemy, right? So on this case, we're training on the yellow zone. I'm taking my guys to train on the yellow zone so they get familiarized with new weapons they're trying and so on, and learning about positioning and teaching the new players how to do that, right? We're running to the choke point because we are being overwhelmed. We are on a tier 1 blob against the tier 2, right? So the enemies, we're trying to use the choke point to be able to do it, but they're able to go ahead and deliver a lot of damage with, at the time, the twin blade was absolutely broken. So they're able to deliver the damage, right? Right now, I'm losing a lot of members, right? But my main DPS is fine. My main DPS is fine because they're on good positions. They're up there. Give me a moment, sorry. Let me just put this. One is right here. One is right here. One is right here, right? All those 3 guys, if the 3 of them deliver their E's properly, that's all I need to be able to kill somebody, right? As long as the enemy doesn't have any defenses up, right? So just keep that in mind. Is their positioning perfect? No. But in this case and context, yes, right? We're in a choke. They're taking both flanks. We're waiting. We need to counterclap quickly, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We counterclap, and boom, right? We get the clap done. It's a tremendously good. Here, my DPS, my debuff, uses his E when he shouldn't have, right? Had he saved his E, he would have been able to clear out everybody else with the DPS, right? So you can actually see the moment he uses it. It's very important, and this goes for everybody in the DPS. Listen to your callers and don't use your E's randomly. In that moment, you can see him using the E, and it just became pretty much useless, right? Now, had he waited a few more seconds, that E would have delivered all of the debuff that we needed for this clump of people, and not a single one of them would have survived. Like, those 2 guys survived barely, thanks to three guys survived actually, thanks to the team not actually having a debuff up, right? So so Brawling, what does Brawling is exactly? What kind of DPS is the Brawling? The DPS in Brawling are axes, are like gloves and stuff like that, right? I want to show you this fight we had yesterday, on which we fought against a group who was on a Brawling composition. So Brawling is all about baiting forcing the enemy into using their abilities, and then you just completely retaliating by jumping on the enemy's backline, right? Here we do an engage. They defended the engage properly, and then you can already see immediately that the enemy has, right, the access right here going after the backline immediately, right? So these guys are in Brawling sets. Here they have a purpose and a scythe, both in Hellion jackets, both putting pressures towards my backline, right? They're trying to find my backline, right? So that is Monkey is like Brawling's what's the name? Monkey compositions, where they just have a lot of people trying to get behind you, trying to put pressure on your backline, right? Here you need to learn to be able to deal with these kind of enemies. You need to learn how to kite properly, right? But right now in this video, it's all about DPS. So again, we try to engage, and sadly like we talked before, my carving sword was actually very late, which in this case was my debuff, right? On this composition we were running, the carving was the debuff, and that's why these guys managed to survive. Had the carving landed, the carving is right there, because the Realmbreaker lands, the carving had landed, then they all would have died the moment the Reef Glaives had like hit, right? But so that's why it's so important that if that all rolls do their job properly, right? So the enemy sees that we do the clap, and immediately I want you to look how they're gonna go ahead and start jumping into my backline here. They're gonna use their boots. Look at that. Boom, boom. You see how they're using their boots to try to just put pressure on the backline? That's all they gotta do. They wanna put all the pressure. They're trying to force us to what's the name? To separate us from the backline and just constantly just brawl us and take us down slowly, right? So that's what brawling is all about, right? It's just overwhelming the enemy. Axes overall are the ones that are mostly used for pressure and this kind of compositions, right? The monkey compositions. I'm not an expert on that specific topic because I don't fight that much in that. I prefer kiting comps, so I know more about that topic. Nevertheless, I thought that it was necessary to mention it for this video. So that's pretty much it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys found this useful. I'm still learning every day. I'm not perfect, so if you think I said something wrong, feel free to leave it on the comment section below. If you found this useful and a good entry level understanding of the DPS role as something that puts you in the with the knowledge that you feel that you're confident now to be able to take on the role effectively, please let me know also on the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. I am Totor Torres. It's been a pleasure. And if you're looking for a guild, feel free to apply to Unite. All right. See you in the next one. Ciao.